Luke chapter 19 says that Jesus entered the temple and began to drive out those who sold, saying to them, "It is written, my house shall be called the house of prayer, but you have made it a den of robbers." Today we are standing in the area where this would have happened. This is where sacrificial animals were bought and money was exchanged in the time of Jesus. The road just behind me is the place where Christ enters and he clears the temple. He makes a scene. I can just see it. The tables are falling over. And those tables in that day, they're not just your basic table that you can fold up and put away. These are solid stone tables that would have fallen and broken. You can see change hitting the ground and scattering about. Jesus makes a whip. Now, that seems a little excessive. I mean, this isn't the Jesus that we've seen so far. I mean, he's been harsh with the Pharisees and those who were hypocritical, but when has he fashioned a whip? When's the last time you saw a whip in a church service? He has fashioned a whip and he's cracking it in the area behind me, and he's clearing the temple from those selling sacrifices, those who are exchanging money. The temple authorities were corrupt. We have visited Jewish homes in this area, and what we have found are the homes of chief priests. And in these chief priests' homes, we see that they were not suffering from Rome's occupation. A matter of fact, they were thriving. In these homes, you see frescoes. These are beautiful works of art on the wall, paintings. You see elaborate mosaics. You see Jewish ritual immersion pools, enormous, beautiful, beautiful homes. And these people were not suffering from the occupation of Rome. And later we see that these are the same individuals that are involved in Christ's crucifixion. And so what's going on here is Jesus storms these gates. In Jewish writings, a man named Baba Batra noticed that the temple was barren of animal sacrifices. And so he goes and buys 3,000 animals. 3,000 animals. And he gives them to the people, because these people were not being allowed to sacrifice because they didn't have enough money. The prices had risen so high. And so here's common man that is wanting to seek God and seek God through this sacrifice, and now they are kept from worship on temple. And so we see a little bit more of what's going on here. You can imagine you've journeyed 7 days from northern Israel. You haven't come with your sacrifice because it's too heavy. You get here and you realize that you've just made the 7-day journey in vain. And now you got to travel 7 days back home. You see, there was something deeper going on here. We see the wealth of the high priests. We see the corruption of the money changers and those buying and selling sacrifices. And ultimately, what does a sacrifice represent? It represents being brought back to God. I mean, if there's anything that should make you angry, it's people holding other people back from seeking God, from seeking forgiveness for their sins. You see, ultimately, that's what Christ came to do. And he finds offense with what's going on in the temple so much that he fashions a whip and he clears it. The Jewish historian Josephus, also a first century historian, that's from the time of Jesus. This is what he writes. High priests had slaves that would go to the threshing floor and take the tithe by force and beat anyone who resisted. The homes of the chief priests also show us their great wealth. And so, when's the last time the church authorities knocked your door down and demanded the tithe from you? So there's something much deeper going on there. There are things in life that should make us angry, that should upset us. Injustice and poverty and pain and suffering, and especially those who are religious, claiming to be called by the name of God, who are holding out common people from having an opportunity to seek him. So in anger and personal rights, yes, Jesus did get angry, but it wasn't over some small thing. It was over something that was a pretty serious issue. You know what? I challenge you. Look at your anger. Look at your frustration. What is it that you're frustrated about? What is it that you struggle with? You know what? I don't think it probably doesn't rise to the occasion of the anger that Jesus presented in the temple. It's probably something minor, like a conflict with somebody, a personality difference, and maybe something small like that. You know what? Let's save our frustration and our anger for things that really matter. Standing up against injustice, against prejudice. I challenge you, in your anger, do not sin.